Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys, brought to you by the Hockey Podcast Network. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a sports betting perspective, with pro handicappers Alex B. Smith and veteran sports writer Jimmy Murphy. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. Wednesday, February 2030, in Cameron, with you. We should have Andrew McInnis momentarily, and possibly Jimmy Murphy as well. He's been in Montreal. He's been in the Vermont mountains. He's been stopping on the side of the road where his reception conked out yesterday during the show. Who knows where Jimmy is, but he might be joining us at some point as well. Alex, of course, is attending the funeral of a very close friend of his that recently passed away. Certainly our condolences and sympathies go out to the family of Alex B. Smith's friend. That's where he is today. He will be back tomorrow and Friday on the show. So we are here to break down the Wednesday card. Before that, though, let's thank everybody for making the betcast happen last night and joining us on the betcast. I'll be honest, last night's slate didn't have the sizzle that maybe it did last week, and certainly the first betcast we had. There were a lot of games, some marquee matchups. We had Panthers and Rangers one night. We had some really, really big time games. I mean, the best game last night on paper was Nashville, Florida, and it was a great hockey game. And even the Toronto Columbus, like we'd certainly had close games, especially in the early slate. The later games were the Islanders and the Kraken and the Sharks and the Ducks, not the greatest games by any stretch, but certainly still was a fun betcast last night. We thank those of you that either watched the betcast live and also joined us on the stream, including Occupancy, who we see in the chat. Good to have you with us for the first time on the betcast last night. Always a fun and enjoyable time. You just kick back, you watch the games, you make some bets, and we won some and we lost some. We won a couple of live overs with Toronto Columbus last night. We won a couple of live in-game overs with St. Louis and Philadelphia. We took over 3.5 and over 4.5, and it didn't look good at one point for that to come through for us, but it did as the games went on. We took a shot with Minnesota to come back against Ottawa last night. That didn't happen. We had a first period over with San Jose and Anaheim, which was nice to see that come in. And Anaheim, I'll tell you what, it was a back and forth game against San Jose, but the Ducks prevailed 4-3 in a shootout, which was good to see for me, and actually ended up putting a capper on a profitable night for me. It wasn't necessarily for sure going to be that way until Anaheim closed the deal against San Jose in the late night hours, but they get that 4-3 win in a shootout. Just a fun betcast, and we try to make some money. We try to capitalize on some great live betting situations, but just as much as we want to profit from the betcast, we also want to enjoy the camaraderie, with our viewers and our listeners, and we certainly have that each and every week we do the betcast. So we thank all of you for that, for sure. And again, we'll be doing the betcast every Tuesday night for pretty much for the rest of the NHL season. And the great thing about Tuesday nights having the betcast is we can run this thing every Tuesday throughout March when it's March Madness, because that's not going to interfere too much with Tuesday night betcast because there is no tournament games. At the 1 week there is, you've got those first 4 matchups, but other than that, you're not going to see the tournament really mess around with us doing the betcast on Tuesday nights. So looking forward to keeping those going every single Tuesday night moving forward. Andrew is with us now. Andrew, welcome in. I know, Andrew, you got to join the betcast last night after not being able to last week. Always enjoyable.
Yeah, it's always a good time. We had some fun.
Yep.
We had make some jokes, cash some live bets, jump in and sweat them out a little bit. Obviously, I think I was real disappointed with that Minnesota game. That was the only one that really kind of was disappointing. We said yesterday on the Ice Guys show in the afternoon, Ian, it was going to be a live bet type of night, and boy, was it. I mean, look, I went 1-3 with my pregame bets. I ended up jumping on 2 or 3 pregame overs, some sides. I talked about right before I left the show with you, first period puck line for the Islanders, plus 160. So as far as the picks given out on the Ice Guys show, betcast wise, I did a lot better than I did during the day. So it's frustrating because, if you're giving people picks during the day and they're betting it pregame and stuff like that, but it just goes to show that for us as bettors, sometimes if the pregame bets aren't going our way, you're still able to make some money. And I left yesterday with a profit in my pocket, but the pregame bets definitely weren't profitable for me yesterday.
Yeah, it's sometimes that's the way it's going. That's why that's another reason to reinforce why the Betcast is. It's cool if you can join us. Not every week, not everybody's going to be able to. Yeah, that's a good question, Terry. Is Andrew hosting a Betcast Thursday? I mean, if he wants to do one, he's able to do one for sure. What do you still want to do one Thursday, or do you want to wait another week?
No, I'm going to do it. I might not be on for like hours and hours.
All right, there we go. So I will set that up. I'll set the link, create the link and all that so that Andrew can
Appreciate
hop
it.
on, log into the StreamYard account here that we use for this show, and he will be your host Thursday night. And I would have loved to be a part of that and join that, but tomorrow night's one of those rare. And I'm not one of those people that's out a lot on the weeknights, but this is just one of those situations. There's a birthday event going on, so I'm out at that tomorrow night. So, but Andrew will host a special Thursday night Betcast. We do have some good games tomorrow night. Leafs and Wild certainly among them tomorrow night on the Thursday
I know.
card.
Terry's pumped about that one.
Yeah. That's why Terry was asking. He knows Minnesota was. You definitely know you'll get Terry joining you on the Betcast tomorrow night. No question about that. So there you go. It is official. Andrew McInnis will host another Ice Guys live Betcast Thursday night. Alex B. Smith might be able to join. You never know. Maybe you'll see Jimmy. Anybody that wants to join the show, send him the DM this time if you want to join the stream. Yeah. Join the Betcast, and he'll make sure he sends you the link. So it is on. We have a Thursday night Betcast tomorrow, hosted by Andrew McInnis. I will not be around, but make sure you tune in. Make sure you join the Betcast because it's still going to be
I've
fun.
Actually got a buddy of mine that's going to come.
Opportunities. Oh, is that so? Yeah.
Yeah, a good friend of mine is going to join in, trying to convince some of the boys to come on. We'll try and get a packed house.
There we go. Nova Scotia's finest on the Ice Guys Betcast Thursday night. So that's reason to tune in right there. So make sure you join Andrew McInnis, a special. Now, we're not going to be doing them every Thursday, but selective Thursday nights we'll throw in a Betcast as well. So Thursday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m., I guess, Halifax time, where Andrew is. We will get the Betcast going tomorrow night. So make sure you join Andrew and company for that. So we basically mentioned briefly last night a tough loss for Toronto. I took him in overtime because they've been so good in overtime, but you got to actually have the puck, to be able to score in overtime. And unfortunately, Columbus wins the opening faceoff. They go right down the ice, and Patrick Laine roofs it for the game winner. So they couldn't even touch the puck.
The quickest loss of our careers.
Yeah. Painless anyway. It was just, over with. Just like that in a hurry. But yeah, tough one for Toronto there as Columbus. All of a sudden, they're in a little bit of a swoon, the Leafs, with that loss. Nashville, impressive win against Florida last night, being able to come back from a 3-1 deficit, beat the Panthers, handing the Panthers only, their fourth home loss all year. Man, that's very impressive by Nashville. Maybe that gets them going again. We'll see. Can they withstand prosperity and use that big win to build it? And keep it going? That ends up being the question. Ottawa finds a way to pull a big upset. They did this against Carolina at home a few weeks ago, and they do it last night against Minnesota. The Blues with a 4-1 win against the Flyers. Hoping for more goals than that, I'm sure Andrew and I both, but at least we salvaged the over 3.5 and out over 4.5 in that game, which was good to see with the Blues winning. And the team total for the Blues got there with 2 seconds to go. They put an empty net goal in to get us that 4th goal as well for the Blues team total. So
gotta love it.
That was great to see. Islanders put a beating on the Kraken, which was a good win for them. They wanted to atone. Clearly, it looked like they wanted to atone for losing to Seattle at home. And certainly they played a lot better against them last night. And credit to the Ducks, a nice 4-3 overtime win against the Sharks. So, Andrew, just some final thoughts on wrapping up last night.
Well, yeah, I mean, be careful when some of these big favorites are playing some of the lower teams, like Ottawa yesterday. I know that Talbot wasn't great, but we can't just keep pinning games on goaltenders. Jack Campbell made some mistakes, but we can't pin every single loss on goaltenders, and that's kind of what we're seeing. And it kind of bugs me, but be careful with these big favorites. Be careful, with these letdown spots. As I said yesterday on the show, it's kind of that time of year where you start seeing teams up for the games against big teams and kind of get down for the teams, the ones they should beat. And so be careful with that kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't want to sound like a regretful guy today, but that Florida Nashville game, oh my goodness. Like I'll tell you what, I've got tickets to Vegas and Florida, March 17th when I go to Vegas, my first day there. You can already guarantee I'm betting the over. I'm paying for my tickets, hopefully, with the over bet on that one. I mean, hopefully Florida and Vegas just trade goals all night long, because that's what we saw yesterday with Nashville and Florida. Those two teams trade goals. Florida is one of those teams, Ian, I'm interested to see what happens to them this year in the playoffs, because can they keep the puck out of their own end as well? And in the playoffs, you don't want to give up 3-4 goals either. So should be interesting. Late games, Islanders, they get it done. They continue, just like you said a while ago, Ian, they continue to win in spots they should. And then in the big games and the pick'em games, they don't show up. So Trevor Zegras, great shootout goal from him. Ricard Raquel, what a move there. I'll be honest, I didn't watch many of the late games. I watched the highlights of them. That was kind of after I left the Ice Guys. Kind of just watched some Netflix,
It's not like those were the
a little
most
bit.
stimulating late games ever either. Let's not forget that.
Yeah, you're right. But hey, they both, the Ducks game was pretty good. But it's good to kind of get your mind off it a little bit. And I had Gabe's show coming up really late, so. But yeah, that was an entertaining shootout, though. I watched the highlights. It was Ricard Raquel, nice move there from him.
Yeah, it was. Actually, that turned out to be a pretty competitive game. Still some struggles. Like the one goal that Raquel scored, Reimer continues to really be struggling with his confidence. That was a carryover of that last night, something that really has been an issue for him since the Christmas break for him in between the pipes, where he's really struggled a lot more. And Anaheim's capitalized, and a nice bounce back for them. And San Jose is that team in the Pacific Division that looks to be fading out of the playoff race. Certainly Anaheim's still hanging around. We know what LA is doing, and we'll talk about them. They're playing Arizona tonight, but definitely those teams are definitely, I think, passing San Jose by in the Pacific Division race, to be sure. I think the other California teams, certainly, you got to give them, at least as of right now, a better chance probably at this point in time to make the playoffs. But let's get into Wednesday's card. We've got TNT, of course, on a Wednesday night. They are back with national TV action, and this is the one game that they've got, first game they've got tonight, the Edmonton Oilers and the Tampa Bay Lightning. We've got Tampa Bay minus 200, home favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. So the question you got to ask yourself with Edmonton, obviously a terrific little streak they've had since the coaching change, which did come to an end Sunday night in the loss to Minnesota. Do you chalk up the Minnesota loss to, that's the best team that they had played since the coaching change, and they're going to struggle to beat the really, really good teams? Or was that the fifth game in 7 nights really getting them more than anything else? That ends up being a very pertinent question going into tonight's game against the Tampa Bay Lightning. What's good for Edmonton is they get 2 days off. They're not rushed to start this road trip following the Sunday loss to Minnesota, 7-3. We'll see if they're able to bounce back here tonight. It's going to be a good test, obviously, for Mike Smith in net, confirmed for the Oilers having to face the Lightning. Should be a very good test here for them tonight against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's been off for a week. We know that. They have not played since last Tuesday when they beat the New Jersey Devils 6-3. So an 8-day respite, if you will, 8-day layoff here for this Tampa Bay Lightning team. They have been 3 days rest or more, at least. They've been pretty good. 6-2 so far this season. We'll see if they carry that over here to this game against the Edmonton Oilers. Of course, Edmonton starting this real tough road trip. This is where we're going to find out what these Edmonton Oilers under their new coach, Jay Woodcroft, just what they're all about, because now they're going to play Tampa Bay tonight. They're going to follow that up, play the Florida Panthers on Saturday. And then they're going to play at Carolina on Sunday. That's a really tough back-to-back. So we'll see if Edmonton is up for the task. We know that in terms of team defense, this team has played a lot better. It was a really bad start. The 4-0 deficit that obviously sunk them against the Minnesota Wild on Sunday. We'll see if they're able to get off to a better start. That's the thing that I'm trying to go through in my head here going into this game, is that Edmonton has really played much better in terms of their defensive game until Sunday night, where it was just way too easy. I mean, it was just giving up way too much prime real estate in the offensive zone, to the Minnesota Wild. And it was not a great night for Mike Smith, but the chances that the Edmonton Oilers were allowing, a lot of goalies were going to give up goals on those chances. So you would think that, they got a chance here to try to bounce back here. I'm going to do actually with Edmonton tonight in this game a little split bet with Edmonton first period money line and full game money line. I do think they're live here. I do. I mean, is it fair to say Tampa Bay, with 8 days off, is going to be at their absolute best? And we do have to keep in mind for Tampa Bay, their schedule lately. It's not been anything to write home about. I mean, they beat San Jose 7-1, big whoop. New Jersey 3-2, big whoop. They lost in a shootout to Vegas 3-2. They beat San Jose again in overtime 3-2. They lost to Colorado 3-2. And then the other wins were Arizona and New Jersey. So it's not like Tampa Bay's been rolling past the terrific teams during this recent amount of wins that they've had. And now with the 8-day layoff, I think Edmonton's game has been good enough that they're worthy of taking a shot with them in this price range. And when you look at it, they've had the 2 days off from the loss to Minnesota. You'd expect a good effort from them. And if they don't win tonight, they've got that back-to-back of potential death waiting for them on the weekend. Florida and Carolina. Those are 2 teams that are as tough as it gets to play on the road in a back-to-back. The Panthers and their 23-4 home record. Oh, and then Carolina, who are also a terrific team and very tough to beat at home. So for me, this is Edmonton. I don't want to say a great chance to win because they're playing the 2-time defending champs, but this is probably more of a shot for them to win this game, in my opinion, than the 2 tough back-to-back games they've got against Florida and Carolina over the weekend. And again, last night we saw it with a few underdogs. Ottawa rising up, beating Minnesota. We've seen examples here where we've seen Nashville against Florida. I think Edmonton in a first period full game money line split is worth a shot here with the way they've played for the better part. I'm willing to chalk up Minnesota debacle on Sunday more to the 5-7 situation rather than, Edmonton finally played a really good team and now they're going to lose to every really good team the rest of the way. I'm not so sure. Obviously, they can lose tonight. They're obviously, Tampa's a -200 favorite here, but I'm going to roll the dice here. Edmonton first period money line, which you can get currently at around plus 150, 155, and also the full game money line at plus 175 here on the Edmonton Oilers. Andrew, Oilers and Lightning.
Ian, you pretty much said everything I was going to say, brother. So I'm on the Oilers as well, like you. What did Danny say to us a couple days ago? What have many other professional athletes said? They would much rather fade a team that has a boatload of rest versus a team that's played recently. And that's kind of what we're seeing here in this one. I get it. It's the Tampa Bay Lightning, back-to-back Cup champs, great team. But that loss the Oilers took towards the Wild, which I was pumped to have the first period over on. That was just a tough spot for them. And now they've had a couple days to get ready, game plan, get to Tampa, and get ready for this one. So I haven't played the first period yet. I've been trying to figure out how I want to do that. But as for right now, I'm just on that plus 170.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I want to split it up, because I think the first period there's going to be more. Edmonton's got a chance in that first period, or maybe pounce on Tampa Bay, kind of like what they did against Washington. I remember I remember that game. That was also a TNT game. It was on a Wednesday night in Washington, and the Oilers couldn't have started that game any better. They got off to a great start in that game, and for me, I think, that's why I think the first period is something I want to make sure I split this between first period and full game, because we saw the evidence right there of what the Oilers did in Washington on a Wednesday night national TV game a few weeks ago. Obviously, for Tampa Bay, we know how good they are, obviously, and loaded up front, very good on the blue line. And the one thing the injuries or the time off, the week off, is done for Tampa Bay, it's gotten their defense a little bit healthier. Eric Chernak's been banged up for a bit. Sergachev was in and out. They've got everybody but Bogosian back. Bogosian's the only blue liner still out for Tampa Bay. They probably should have everyone back. I've been impressed that Derek Ryan McLeod has now found some chemistry with McDavid and Hyman. I've been impressed with how Ryan McLeod has played on that top line. And you got to give Jay Woodcroft credit. He's been adjusting the lines, and he's clearly found something that's worked here with McLeod on that top line with McDavid and Hyman as well. And Zach Hyman, shots on goal and goal scorer props continue to be something I will continue to look at. It has been a nice run since the coaching change for Zach Hyman. He is also, finding ways to finish off his chances, playing once again on that top line. He has now scored in 4 straight games. He has a total of 6 points in the last 4 games. And of course, he's only gone over his shots on goal twice in those 4 games. But so I would actually lean more toward the goal scorer prop here for Hyman in this game. Get another very good price for him to find the back of the net in this one against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Hyman goal scorer prop, you can see in the plus 275 range. In some books. So terrific price there for Zach
That is
Hyman.
a great price
we
there.
can keep that goal scoring streak going. Again, he's scored in 4 consecutive games for the Edmonton Oilers entering tonight. All right, next up, we've got Winnipeg and Dallas. Dallas minus 145, home favorites, 5.5 the total, pretty much across the board in this one. I'm on the Jets here. I swung and missed with the Jets on Monday against Calgary as a big dog. This isn't Calgary this time around. This is a Dallas team that still, to me, is a little bit too inconsistent for my liking. And I look at the way this situation sets up to Dallas. Tomorrow night plays Nashville. And Nashville is like right just barely ahead of Dallas. So they've got a big one tomorrow night. Winnipeg played Dallas just recently in Dallas. It was a few weeks ago. They lost 4-3 in overtime. I thought they played pretty even in that game. Winnipeg they play well off a loss. That is the one thing they've done right. They lost to Philly. It was a horrible loss. They beat Minnesota. They lost to Dallas in overtime. They went to Nashville and they beat them on the road in the next game. They had a bad loss to Chicago. They bounced back. They beat Minnesota. They had a loss to Edmonton on the weekend. And yes, they lost to Calgary the next time out 3-1, but that was a good performance even in a losing effort for the Winnipeg Jets. I thought they played very well in that Calgary game. Coin flip game. Could have went either way. Elias Lindholm gets the game winner in the final minute. To me, I'm always interested in finding a way maybe to fade the Dallas Stars when they're laying prices like this, like minus 160, minus 170. You know, they're not that kind of team that we can trust them in this kind of price range. And certainly their last game wasn't good at all, losing to the Arizona Coyotes by a score of 3-1. Dallas was minus 240 in that game, and they ended up losing to the Arizona Coyotes in that one. And for the Jets, they're not only trailing Nashville, they're trailing Dallas as well in the standings. This is a massive game, a massive 2 points for the Winnipeg Jets if they have any inclination of trying to get themselves back into playoff contention in the wild card race. And then you factor in Dallas inconsistency. Dallas with a huge one with Nashville coming up tomorrow. I think there's reasons intangibly, there's reasons situationally, and I think there's reasons matchup-wise, because we just saw Winnipeg take Dallas to overtime a few weeks ago in Dallas, that Winnipeg could be live here. So I like them getting plus 125, plus 130. Andrew, Jets and Stars.
I mean, look, I told you, I think that the Jets are such an inconsistent team. They've been one that I'm either fading or I'm staying off of. What I've done today with this, I obviously lost yesterday's 2-teamer. I put the Stars and I've put the Kings in a 2-teamer together. I got a decent price with that. Some people are saying to me, well, why even risk the 2-teamer? Why not just take Dallas in regulation? And the answer is Dallas is one of the most overtime teams in the league. You know, they go to overtime a decent amount. You just ask Alex or ask Terry, you know. So I'm putting those teams together. I think that we'll see LA get it done against Arizona. And I just don't trust Winnipeg's defense right now, which is unbelievable to really say, because that's kind of was their backbone for a while. So I get it. They've played better hockey recently, but I think Dallas at home gets it done. And again, these 2-teamers aren't my biggest plays of the night usually, but I try and find 2 favorites I like to put together, and we'll see what we can do tonight with it.
All right, so Andrew hinting at Dallas as part of a 2-team money line parlay tonight in NHL action here with the Jets and the Stars. And this is almost you got to have it if you're Winnipeg, because again, when you look at the standings, they're looking up at several teams, including Dallas. This is important for them. They're 4 points back of Dallas. They're 10 back of Nashville. I mean, if they're making a run, it's got to start here. You cannot fall 2 further points behind the Dallas Stars. It's a huge, huge game for them. As far as the Jets in terms of props to continue to look at, Kyle Connor shots on goal. He's been going over the 3.5 routinely. I wouldn't talk anyone out of that if you're interested in Kyle Connor over shots at this point in time. Dubois, I think maybe to score a goal could be worth a look tonight as well for the Winnipeg Jets. I believe he scored against Dallas. Yes, he did. I remember that in Dallas back on February 11th. PLD scored against the Dallas Stars, so that's why that came to mind, that Pierre-Luc Dubois might be the goal scorer prop to look at if you're interested in one from the Winnipeg Jets side of things. All right, we move on to the next game, Colorado Avalanche, Detroit Red Wings. Colorado minus 250, road favorites, 6 the total in this game, shaded to the over. So in the first 2 games, I made a pretty clear and solid case for the underdog. I can't do that in this game, not with Colorado off the loss they had against Boston, 5-1. But there's been a recent development for Colorado. No Nathan McInnis tonight for the Colorado Avalanche. He has been ruled out for this game and won't play against Detroit. A lower body injury is the cause of that. So obviously, you never like to see that, Nathan McInnis not playing. But Colorado, that doesn't change the fact Colorado's thoroughly pissed off with their performance. One of the worst ones they've had in a long time against Boston, 5-1 on that early start Monday afternoon game. And a Colorado team that even without McInnis in the lineup, you'd expect a whole hell of a lot better 60-minute performance from them tonight against Detroit. Am I laying minus 250? No. And now with McInnis out, I have even less incentive to probably look at anything involving Colorado, but this is also not the night I'm looking to back Detroit, in this kind of spot against obviously a Colorado team that is obviously going to be not in a very good mood after and I'm not sugarcoating this. That was one of the worst games I've seen Colorado play all year. It's like the alarm clock never went off. They got dominated in the first period. It was not Darcy Kemper's best game. He was a little bit off his game as well, but they didn't play well in front of him. You would expect, even without Nathan McInnis, which is a big loss, you would still expect Colorado to play a whole lot better tonight. Kadri props are absolutely, that's been a great theme without Nathan McInnis in the lineup. Kadri slides up to the number 1 center spot, and he'll center the line with Rantanen and Landeskog tonight. And it has meant him his usage essentially, and shots on goal. He shoots the puck more, a better chance maybe to get a point, score a goal. So Nazem Kadri props tonight, in theory, conceptually, are a very good bet in my opinion in this game tonight against the Detroit Red Wings. Detroit, by the way, they're not without their injury issues as well. Dylan Larkin. There's a chance he's not going to play tonight. It's apparently a game-time decision for him. And this is not a guy you want to be without if you're the Detroit Red Wings, not just because he's your captain, but because of what he's done. In the last 14 games, Dylan Larkin has 20 points, 10 goals, and 10 assists for the captain of the Detroit Red Wings in the last 14 games. So you certainly don't want to be without him tonight if you're the Red Wings. We'll see if he's able to suit up. They say they're going to go right to the wire with this in terms of a game-time decision. We'll see how it goes. As far as the total goes, I'm probably not going to look at it either way. Colorado's been a dead nuts under team, and the total's 6 here. And you look at these, other than Buffalo and Colorado, a couple of games ago, which ended 5-3 in Buffalo. It was that weird early start game on Saturday afternoon. There were a shit ton of goals early in that game to send it over the total. But outside of that, you'd have to go all the way back to January 28th when you've seen a lot of Colorado games exceed 6 total goals. So, that ends up being the issue here. And I think tidying up their defensive game after giving up 5 to Boston and 45 shots as well in that game against the Bruins will be imperative. Francouz in net for the Avalanche tonight instead of Darcy Kemper, and Thomas Greiss is going to be in net for the Detroit Red Wings tonight in this game. Francouz was not great in his last start. 3 goals on 19 shots. They lost to Dallas 4-1 at home. He'll try to rebound and play a lot better. It's been kind of up and down for him. 3 goals allowed to Dallas, 4 goals allowed to Chicago, even though they won that game 6-4. And then he'd had a shutout and gave up 2 goals. Actually had back-to-back shutouts against Chicago and Anaheim, and then gave up just 2 against Minnesota. So he's kind of been all over the map in the last 5 or 6 starts, Pavel Francouz. Some good, some bad. After all that, I'm passing, basically. I just spent 5 minutes yammering on about a game that I'm passing, at least from a pregame standpoint. But right now, the lean would be probably Colorado, maybe a first period that maybe they jump on Detroit. But other than that, this is going to be a game I stay off of it. What do you think here, Andrew? Avalanche, Red Wings?
Yeah, I mean, look, quite often we don't want to lay a price like this with a puck line. Puck lines are for games like yesterday with the Islanders, when you can somehow get a plus 190 or 70 if you love a team, or even like the Blues yesterday. Occupancy had that. Great call by him. Usually you don't want to take a minus price with a puck line, but today I have no issue with it. Colorado looked flat against the Bruins, one of their worst starts to a game I've seen out of them this year. Early in the afternoon, obviously for them and their body clock, even if it was a game that they've been on that time zone for a little while. But some of these stats here, 67-20, their last 87 games as a favorite. That's unbelievable. Colorado does not take teams lightly that are below them in the standings that aren't doing too well. 42-16 their last 58 games when they've scored 2 goals or less in a previous game. I mean, that is something that you have to take into account with this team. You can look at the first period puck line, or you can look at the team total, 4.5, 5, 3.5. Detroit's in tough for this one. You got an angry team, but no McKinnon, but now it's a good opportunity for us to check the depth of this team. I think that if you don't like juice at all, you could take the over still. I think, because you know what? I still think that we're going to get goals because the depth is there. You talked about Kadri. Look where he is in the standings for points right now, even for goals. Very impressive. So I think Detroit could get theirs at home, but Colorado will contribute. But in summary, call me Sammy Square, but I'm on the -1.5 today with the Avalanche in this game.
Well, I could rhyme off the recent results off a loss, and it would be difficult to not bet Colorado if you look at these recent results off a loss. It's this, I think they've 7 or 8 in a row that Colorado's off a loss has won, bounced back and won the next game, and a lot of them multi-goal victories. So that's why, you can definitely make a pretty clear case to want to back them in some way, shape, or form. But again, as a -250 favorite, it's all about, what I might do here tonight in this one is maybe because I've really been looking at this, and it almost cashed with Toronto last night, that first period team total. I see plus 185 here for a Colorado first period team total over 1.5. I mean, I'm very interested at that, just because it's the price. You would expect you're going to get Colorado on the front foot in that first 20 minutes of this game tonight. That's something that's to me the value. Like, you're trying to somehow extract value out of a -250 road favorite. It's not easy. Even the puck line, which Andrew's betting here, and that's as a play on this game, it's not as good a price as I'm sure even he'd want, or anybody would want. When you're talking, just plus 100 pretty much with Colorado puck line here. But you can find these other derivative markets, like a first period team total over for Colorado, or a first period puck line, and go with that. I think either of those options are not bad. The first period puck line, or even that team total over 1.5 at plus 180. Talk about value there. Plus 180 for Colorado if they can get 2 goals in the opening period of this game. Those are definitely considerations for me. There'll be small bets, nothing significant, but at that value might end up getting involved with something along those lines for sure. All right, we've got Buffalo taking on Montreal now. Next game on the slate here, the suddenly red hot Montreal Canadiens. Yeah, we got to call them that now. The red hot Montreal Canadiens. They've won 3 in a row. Very impressive, 2 of those wins. We'll see if they can keep it rolling tonight. They are -115 home favorites tonight in La Belle Provence at the Bell Center. The total in this game currently sitting at 6, shaded to the over in this one. We'll see how it transpires. I have a small bet here on Montreal. It's just riding the wave. They're playing better. The worry is that they just beat their rival Toronto, or you're going to fall flat tonight a little bit against a team that may not get you as hyped up or motivated and stimulated. Playing a team like the Buffalo Sabres. But I think when you look at it, still, I like the way this team's progressing in their own zone under Marty St. Louis. You're seeing better defensive play in their own zone. That has certainly helped this team. They're starting to actually gain some foundation. I'm starting to see, Andrew, and someone I'm sure that watches the Habs as much as you do agrees, they're not panicking with the puck as much this group in their own zone. It used to be, oh my God, this puck, what a hideous sight. Get it away from me. Get it away from me. And they'd turn it over and they'd make a horrible play with the puck.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're not doing that as much these last few games. And you do have to give them some level of credit, for beating, the teams they've beaten. Toronto and St. Louis are quality hockey teams.
Absolutely.
And that was 2 of the last 3 wins. And even the Islanders have had a disappointing season. They've dramatically underachieved. But going on the road and beating them, especially with them being desperate for points right now, you got to give them credit for that as well. So Montreal on a little bit of an uptick here. As far as the net minding situation, we've got Craig Anderson for the Sabres, and it'll be Samuel Montembeault once again for the Canadiens. In net, looks like Rasmus Dahlin day-to-day for the Buffalo Sabres with a lower body injury. We'll see if he's able to suit up. Kyle Okposo as well for the Sabres, not expected to play. He's dealing with some kind of illness that will keep him out, which is unfortunate because he's actually been a little bit of an offensive spark lately for the Sabres. But Sabres have one of the best top lines going right now. I honestly can say that and not say it with a straight face because
usually
really
that would be a joke.
Yeah, normally it would. Like, what are you talking about? The Sabres, they don't have a top line that can do anything productive. Right now they do. Tage Thompson, Alex Tuch on that top line have been really strong for the Buffalo Sabres. They've been carrying the team offensively. Skinner, Thompson, and Tuch on that top line have been very good for this Sabres team. So we'll see if they can keep that going here as they take on Montreal. I do lean to the over here simply, and I know Montreal's played better defensively, but for series history purposes, I mean, we saw 5-3 with these teams earlier this year. Montreal has always, for some reason, had a tough time keeping Buffalo off the scoreboard for some reason. Buffalo has scored goals flat out against Montreal. You look at all 3 meetings this year, 5, 4, and 5. The number of goals scored by the Buffalo Sabres. But I think Montreal is going to be and Buffalo won all 3 games. This is a different Montreal group right now. I think you're going to see them find the back of the net here tonight against Craig Anderson and the Sabres. I think you'll see Buffalo chip in as well in this one. Total being at 6. Given that series history, I like the over. And I'm going to stick with Montreal again here. I like the vibe that they've got going right now. And even with that 3-0 series history for the Sabres this year, again, different Montreal team in those 3 games compared to what you're seeing here in the last week or so. We've seen improvement. They've got a little mojo back. Cole Caulfield's got life again. It's hard not to. And did I nail the Montreal props in the Toronto game?
Yeah.
I posted some goal score props. I had Anderson and Caulfield in that game for the Montreal Canadiens. They both got on the score sheet. I say consider both of those guys again tonight. They've got confidence. Anderson's starting to make that, do that patented rush down the right wing move, and he's beaten goalies with that again, which is good to see. And Caulfield is starting to shoot the puck more and with better results. So those are goal score props I'd maybe consider looking at again. As far as the side and total goes, Montreal for me as well as over 6. Andrew, Sabres, Canadiens.
Yeah, I mean, a couple weeks ago they couldn't win 2 games in a row, and now we're looking to make it 4. And they get a chance against Buffalo, like you guys have mentioned. A lot of the guys in the chat, Robert talked about it with the Sabres 3-0 against the Habs this year. But to your point, Ian, they just haven't been able to keep the puck out of their own net against the Sabres. I like the Canadiens, don't get me wrong. But so far, the only wager I've made in this game is the full game over 6. I could even see the first period overhitting, but I think we'll see the game maybe even potentially start slow and then pick up. It'd be nice to get the 5.5 in. It really would, just so we don't have to get to 7 goals, But I really think that the offense is clicking. They're playing looser right now. They're shooting the puck more. The transition game has been what's really impressed me the most, I think. The ability to move it from D to D up to a forward and get up and down the ice has been really great for the Canadiens. It's not as systematic as it was with Ducharme, and we talked about that under him. But this Sabres team, hey, look, sometimes when you kind of know that, hey, we're building something here, we're doing all right, but, we're not going to make the playoffs or anything. We're seeing Tuch say, you know what, I'm not in Vegas anymore. I know I'm in Buffalo, but I'm kind of the man on this team now. And I think he really is. You look at what Tuch has done, Thompson has done. These guys are taking over the team, and they know they are the guys. They are the leaders of that team, and they've been able to score and execute. So we aren't getting a 5.5, unfortunately, but I still like the 6. Give me the over 6 here.
All right, like an over 6 as well with the Sabres and Canadiens. I think you're going to see some that's why I think Montreal is going to absolutely find the back of the net here against the Sabres at home against this team. But at the same time, we can't argue with the results. Buffalo's found the back of the net, and I could see them having a little bit tougher time mustering that defensive intensity as they did against their bitter rivals, Toronto, the other night. I could see that for sure. And I think that's why I think you've got a good chance here to see goals both ways in this game tonight. All right, before we get to our final game on this Wednesday card, which is LA and Arizona. We do want to mention DraftKings Sportsbook, official sports betting partner of the NHL and NBA. Remember that All-Star break, the NBA returns from the All-Star break on Thursday night, and new customers will be able to bet just $1 on any NBA team and get $150 in free bets if they win. It's that simple. If DraftKings Sportsbook isn't available in your state yet, you can still take your shot at a big payday. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes with DraftKings daily fantasy basketball contests. DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN. Bet just $1 on any NBA team. Get $150 in free bets if they win. That's promo code THPN at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL and NBA. Must be 21 years of age or older. Minimum age and location requirements vary by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for full list of requirements and state-specific responsible gaming resources. Void where prohibited. Minimum $5 deposit. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Download the DraftKings app. Sign up for an account. Use the promo code THPN. All right, so we will move on now to our final game, the red-hot, the surging Los Angeles Kings as they take on the Arizona Coyotes. Once again, actually, because these teams met on Saturday night in the desert. And now here they are facing off once again. We've got Los Angeles minus 200 road favorites in this matchup. The total currently 5.5, shaded to the over in this one. I got to give the LA Kings a lot of credit. You would say, why would you do that for them beating Arizona? Is it that big of a deal? Well, they played Vegas the night before. It was a huge game for the Kings, obviously playing a team they're trying to chase down in the tight Pacific Division race. And they went into Vegas and got a very impressive win in that game. And they played Arizona the next night. And yeah, they were kind of sluggish earlier in the game, but they rallied back and they ended up finding a way to win against Arizona. Very impressive from the Kings, and now they will be looking to hand the Coyotes another loss. And you've got Arizona actually coming off a victory. They played after losing to LA 5-3, and they ended up beating Dallas 3-1 on Sunday night. So a nice solid win for the Coyotes against the Dallas Stars. We'll see if they can carry that momentum forward. But before you begin thinking that they will, we know this is a team that has not exactly put win streaks together this year, and that's putting it mildly. I mean, you just go back and look at the fact we've got a team that's 18-43 off a win. That's terrible in terms of their record off a single victory. And that's often what you get here with the Arizona Coyotes. And look, I'm not looking to make a case to step in front of LA right now. This is a team that is right there in the Pacific Division race. I mean, Calgary's leading this division at 66 points. But then you've got Vegas at 62, Edmonton at 59, LA at 59, and now Anaheim with their win last night also at 59 points. So this is a tight race. Obviously, playoff positioning is critical at this time of year. Every game is important. And I like the way the Kings are rolling right now. There's multiple players that have been playing terrific. Kempe has been outstanding. Adrian Kempe has been awesome lately for the LA Kings. 2 goals and an assist in the 5-3 win against Arizona. He's been absolutely magnificent. He scored 2 goals in each of the last 2 games. He's absolutely going to be on my prop betting list tonight for a goal scorer prop for the Los Angeles Kings tonight. Adrian Kempe, with how he's
been
rolling
great
at the moment. He's been absolutely terrific. Drew Doughty even, he's been a sneaky over shots on goal player lately as well, Drew Doughty. I'm going to bring up the little tool that I use, but definitely when you look at his shot on goal numbers lately, he's been going over those numbers quite a bit. I don't know what it is, but he has been shooting the puck a lot more, just putting pucks on net, letting his forwards crash the front of the net, look for rebounds. Like, he had 5 shots on goal against Zona. He had 3 against Edmonton, 4 against Detroit, 3 against Pittsburgh, 3 against Philly, 3 against the Islanders. So in the last 7 games, he's had only 1 game below 3 shots on goal, and that was against the Vegas Golden Knights. So that's been something I noticed a few games back, and I've been able to capitalize on it because I noticed it early enough that, wow, this guy's shooting the puck quite a bit. So you look at Drew Doughty over 2.5 shots on goal tonight. It's only minus 125, at a lot of books. I think that's a good bet Drew Doughty over 2.5 shots on goal. So this is more of a prop game for me. I would certainly look toward a Kings team total over 3.5. I'd probably do the old team total full game over split in this game. It's probably the way I would bet it. I'd probably look at a Kings team total over 3.5. And it is low enough where I could see at 5.5 full game over getting there. Because the one thing with the Kings and the Coyotes, if you look at it, Arizona is actually averaging 3.5 goals in their last 4 games. They've kind of had an uptick in offense, Arizona. The over is 6-0 in the last 6 games for the LA Kings. That is significant. They've actually been trending over lately. And why not? Because they've got multiple players feeling good offensively for them going into this matchup. The overs cashed in 2 of the last 3 head-to-head with the Kings and the Coyotes. So a couple of those props, Kempe to score, Drew Doughty over 2.5 shots, and also looking at LA team total over 3.5 and full game over 5.5 minus 125. Andrew, LA Kings, Arizona Coyotes. I believe this is one of your buy teams right now.
Yeah, I like them quite a bit. I think they're kind of under the radar. Obviously, in this game, they're minus 200, but I think in other games recently, and they've been kind of mispriced. And this is one of those games where an LA team won't be taking Arizona lightly, as we've seen quite a few teams take Arizona lightly. And Arizona kind of gets a good start on them. I think LA gets the job done. I think that they have good defense to get it done. But their forward group's playing well right now. Might shock a lot of people to hear this, but LA is the number 3 team in the National Hockey League in shots on goal per game. This is a team that spends a lot of time in the offensive zone. They win faceoffs, and they don't really allow their opponent to control the puck. We talk about it in football, handicap. We talk about it even in basketball, possession, pace. The Kings kind of exhibit all of that stuff. So I like the Kings. And like I said, I've paired them up with the Dallas Stars in a 2-teamer.
There you go. So LA Kings, Dallas Stars, 2-team money line parlay for Andrew tonight in this one. And yeah, definitely, like I say, a good game to look at it in terms of a couple of props for sure in this one. And again, the shots on goal with Drew Doughty definitely stuck out. 8 of the last 10 games, he's gone over 2.5 shots on goal. And the juice is only minus 125. So you think about it, 8 out of the last 10 games over shots for Drew Doughty. And only minus 125 on that, over 2.5 shots for him. So, yeah, definitely, I think the Kings find a way. The one concern is now they're playing Arizona again for 2nd straight game, but I don't see this team letting up. Every single game is important right now for the LA Kings. You can't afford to squander points. You can't afford to piss away games at this time of year. So I'd expect the LA Kings to have the requisite focus needed. And if they do, they're certainly better than Arizona. It goes without saying, too, that the Arizona goaltending from Karel Vejmelka has definitely not been as good of late. You've seen his recent starts. He gave up the 5 spot against LA in the game on Saturday night. He gave up 4 before that. He did give up 2 against Seattle, but Seattle's kind of had a tough time offensively, and then he gave up 5. He gave up to Vancouver, 4 to Calgary. You get the point. Karel Vejmelka has definitely struggled lately. It makes me think they might go to Wedgwood tonight, Arizona in net, but I don't know if it's going to make a world of difference for them in terms of increasing their chances of winning this hockey game tonight.
Ian, who I know we talked about Kempe and a couple guys, but I'm asking you because I haven't looked at it. Who would you recommend I take a look at tonight for just shots on goal, not really goals, but for the Kings? Because I mentioned obviously that being number 3 in the league in shots on goal per game. Anybody you recommend that we can find here at DraftKings?
Yeah, I mean, Doughty, of course, which I already mentioned.
Doughty,
but other than that, I'm trying to let me just see if I can find some LA. Iafallo's gone over 2.5 shots, 7 of the last 10.
Okay.
And his number for shots on goal is minus 130. So this is 5 cents higher than it is for Doughty. But Iafallo's a good option. And again, with Iafallo, you know what you're going to get with him. You're going to get opportunities. You're going to be playing on the top line with Kopitar and Kempe. And that's the great thing about playing with Kopitar. Kopitar's not a high-volume shot guy every game. He's more than willing to defer to his line mates, and get them a good scoring chance. So in this case, his line mates are Adrian Kempe on the right side, Alex Iafallo on the left side. So that's another reason why I think Iafallo can get the over shots on goal for him. And actually, it seems like he's done better lately with shots on goal props compared to Kempe, because Kempe's only gone over 2.5 shots 4 of his last 10 games for the LA Kings. So, and he's laying a bigger price, believe it or not.
Yeah, that's the thing. Bigger name maybe sometimes, and
He's scoring a lot more than Iafallo.
Yeah.
That's the thing, Kempe. But he's not shooting quite as much
Well,
as
you look at
Iafallo.
a guy like Brendan Gallagher for the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, I follow the team quite a bit. He's somebody that you look at last year, and he'd have a lot of shots. Like, if you were a shot prop guy, you cash with him, but
Yeah.
you could never score. He's kind of like I'm going to put the puck on the goalie's chest to make sure I can go get a shift change or freeze the puck. Some people are just the shots on goal type of guys, and some people are get one shot and that's the goal for the game, and Gallagher is a perfect, even with Philip Deneau. I mean, that guy would never really be sniping at the net. He'd be just kind of saucing it at the goalie for a frozen puck kind of thing.
Yeah, no question. You definitely want to do some digging. Plus, you also want to look at sometimes too home and away splits as well. Very important in that regard as well. And I'm looking against Arizona. Yeah, you want to look at sometimes some players shoot the puck a lot more at home versus on the road, or even sometimes vice versa. You do even sometimes see the splits in terms of home versus road as well. But no, there's definitely some things that line up here for some props in this game, especially on the LA side. So there's a bunch, like I say. In fact, there's going to be one prop from this game I'm going to use for best bet today. I'm switching it up today.
All right.
I'm going to do a player prop best bet to wrap up the show. And speaking of best bets, it is that time. Best bets to wrap up our Wednesday edition of the Ice Guys. Andrew, we'll start with you. What do you like here for best bet on this Wednesday card?
Well, my dog's out of the house right now, but the dogs are barking right now with my best bet. Give me the Oilers plus 170 for my best bet on the show.
Best bet Edmonton plus 175, plus 180 still in some spots. I like them too. Not best bet material, but I think they've got a puncher's chance tonight in this game against Tampa Bay. Again, we're going to find out something tonight. One thing, win or lose, you're going to learn something with Edmonton. If they get steamrolled and blasted 6-3 or 7-4 or something like that tonight by Tampa Bay, then we're going to say, you know what, Edmonton, your win streak with Woodcroft maybe was a product of who you played, because remember they did play Anaheim, San Jose, the Islanders who were struggling. The Kings was a good win because Kings are playing well, but the Minnesota was the best team by far they had played under Jay Woodcroft, and they didn't play well. But I think that was more the 5 games in 7 nights. They just hit a wall physically, mentally. They made a bunch of mistakes with the puck. They are better than that.
They look
I think
fatigued.
they look tired. And I think they'll be fresher. They'll be better tonight. And I think they can hang with Tampa Bay. So I'm with you there. Edmonton, going bold. Go bold or go home. Edmonton plus 175, plus 180. Best bet for Andrew tonight. And my best bet is going to go right back to one of the player props I just talked about in that Kings-Coyotes game. Drew Doughty over 2.5 shots on goal for the LA Kings. What can you say? 8 of the last 10 overall. He's gone over 2.5 shots on goal. He had 5 against Arizona when they played head-to-head on Saturday night. On the road, he's gone over 2.5 shots on goal in 5 of the last 6 road games going into tonight's game for the Kings. So there it is. Drew Doughty over 2.5 shots on goal at a great price, minus 125 for my best bet. A rare player prop best bet for me on this Wednesday NHL card. All right, that'll wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys. Thanks to everyone in the chat for joining us. 171 live viewers. Hit the like button. We appreciate it. On the way out, a reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. And a reminder, we have a special Thursday night Ice Guys live betcast tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern, hosted by Andrew McInnis. Join him for that Thursday night betcast tomorrow night. For Andrew McInnis, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Wednesday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we'll talk to you again tomorrow on Thursday for another edition of the Ice Guys presented by the Hockey Podcast Network.